Okay, so hi everyone. Welcome to the University of Hertfordshire's Raising Gift 2021 webinar. There'll be 4 different webinars this year, and our second one will be with Joe, who is the founder and the CEO of Resolve. Joe, can you please tell us about your charity and what you do there?
Certainly. So Resolve's what's known as a community structured drug and alcohol treatment agency. We have to specialise in homelessness as well these days. Excuse me. We were established in 2008 just as a peer support group. And in those days, we were just volunteers supporting each other following the closure of the then statutory treatment services. We started with £500, which was a start-up grant from the Hertfordshire Community Foundation. And today we're a registered charity with over 20 staff and 4 different projects supporting somewhere in the region of over 200 people a year, closer to 300 in fact, with addictions and homeless issues across Welling, Hatfield, Letchworth and North Herts. So our service area is principally mid and North Herts, so that's covering an area approximately half of Hertfordshire, up and down the A1 corridor, and we are seeking really to help people with addictions and people who are from deprived backgrounds to get themselves into recovery. We're providing them with skills through CBT, which is cognitive behavioural therapy, and practical solutions so that they can come out of the cycle, which quite often drags them back in again. Mm-hmm. So there's 3 main elements, if you like, to Resolve in terms of the nature of the setup. So the structured treatment services is the adult structured day service. Is designed to help people learn a load of skills around why they're misusing substances and or alcohol, prescription drugs as well, over-the-counter chemicals and so on, to help them develop coping strategies. What happens is that people who have a tendency to misuse substances tend to have very poor coping strategies. And one of the things I always say is it's a rubbish coping strategy, but it's our one. So it's about helping people find ways of being able to manage stress, difficult traumas, difficult times in life without resorting to misuse. We have counsellors and we have a trained core staff that deliver the structured programme. And in combination with all of those things, we support anyone from anywhere, any background. They don't have to live in the area. They can come in and they can access the services as long as they stick by the rules. And the rules are about making sure that everybody is able to access all our services, free to access, safe from harm. That applies across the board as well for our homeless project. So Restart, which is the homeless project Resolve delivers, began really because we started working with people with addictions in the local area who were drinking and misusing substances in public spaces. What we discovered was a large number of these people were in fact homeless, but they were not known as homeless. So an example, one of the women that we were working with, known locally by her nickname rather than her actual name, which I won't say because people will recognise her now, but it turned out that she'd been sofa surfing for 4 years. Suffering serious depression and anxiety around the unexpected death of a loved one, did not know how to cope, lost everything, resorted to misusing, and she is now a trained counsellor supporting people with addictions herself. Who knew?
Wow, that's
how
amazing.
What a great story. Yeah. Both her and her brother had addiction issues. Her brother nearly died in hospital, resulting in an accidental overdose. He now works in drug services and is a key worker.
Wow.
So 2 amazing stories, and their siblings as well. And these were just 2 people who were not really known to anyone but the group that they were cycling around in and were homeless. So as a result of that, we found ourselves supporting people and trying to help get them rehoused. In the meantime, the mayor of Welling Hatfield at the time, a lady called Lynn Sparks, was very much looking at homelessness and street homelessness in particular. And she established the Hatfield Night Shelter, which was a winter night shelter.
Mm-hmm.
Resolve was involved with that as a partner. Sadly, in February 2019, she unexpectedly passed away, had cancer, and that suddenly literally took her life in the space of a week. It was very sad. So by way of legacy of her work, and because she was a massive supporter of Resolve's work in general, we established what was Resolve's Night Shelter, which was the extension of the Hatfield Night Shelter. We've also established the Sparks Community Cafe and Hub, which of course is named after and in memory of Lynn Sparks, which is also a community space for people who have limited means, elderly, vulnerable, young people, homeless, etc. And the cafe runs on a pay what you can basis, not for profit. And the cafe also provides meals for our homeless project, so that people are fed well, eat, sensibly, and that can help with health improvements as well. So in essence, what we have is an organisation that was started by necessity due to a lack of support available at the time, has grown organically over the last 13 years as we have cemented ourselves within the fabric of the communities that we work in. Our work is recognised across the county and by commissioners, even though we're a community service and funded separately. And a lot of what we do is the legacy of somebody else's work as well. And in some cases, that's Lynn Sparks. Other cases, it's other projects. Plans for the future. Just done a review today with one of our funders. Now, plans for the future is to consolidate this work. We've obviously just gone through a year of COVID. Who knows where that's going to take us in the next couple of years. So we've had to make various changes about the way that we work because we're a face-to-face service. And we now have in place processes and procedures that mean we are confident that we can always support people irrespective of what is going to get thrown at us now. So it's about consolidating the work that we've done, about expanding on the homeless work in order to eradicate homelessness altogether. Sadly, no one's got a magic pill to eradicate addiction. In the meantime, we continue with that work to help people come into recovery. And one of the things that we do as well is we employ people who come from backgrounds of lived experience, and I myself am one of those people, having been through my own journey, which has included, hospital, rehab, and other places, institutions, etc. And fundraising obviously is going to be part of that. Partners who come into the organisation are important. We work with funding foundations, local authorities, private companies through corporate and social responsibility, such as Ocado, Let's Go, and others. And of course, fundraising from any other source for people who support our work. Pretty much that's it, I think.
Right, that is amazing. Well, our main reason to have this webinar this year is to encourage many students to volunteer or get involved with this charity. Why do you think those students should volunteer at Resolve, or is there any way students can volunteer or get involved with Resolve?
Yeah, so as I said, we began as a voluntary community group.
Yeah.
So the first few years of the life of Resolve, that's what I was. I was volunteer, just providing support. Now, volunteering can come in all sorts of shapes, forms, and formats.
Right.
One of the things that we do is we provide training placements for students in backgrounds that are likely to benefit from the experience. So, psychology, psychiatry, mental health, other health practices, trying to think, social care, etc. So quite happy for people who require, and counselling of course, who require experience and supervised placement in order to benefit from the experience. We will provide that as long as obviously the university is okay with the facilities that we've got. Next, there's experience. Sometimes it's useful to literally immerse yourself in the experience of a workplace to understand what the workplace is about. I appreciate many students work and have jobs, but I suspect that a lot of them are jobs where they don't feel very valued and they're basically just trying to make a living. Where a volunteering experience can be enriched. You can have the quid pro quo of feeling the benefit of your work with an individual. You're seeing that person get well and do well. We can offer training and do offer training for all of our volunteers as well. So it might be that you're doing something that's got nothing to do with your education, but because you want to have the experience.
Yeah.
Additionally, volunteering can be actually something that you can get invested in yourself. It can make you feel good.
Yeah.
And it's that thing about when you do something good for others, there's some science around this, that says we feel better about ourselves.
Yeah.
And so that's just something we can gift you that, because volunteering allows you to feel I've been useful today. So there are very many reasons. It might even be, and this is part of the reason that Lynn was involved with us, it might be that you've got a lived experience. You might be the child or relation, or have a loved one that's been suffering addiction or homelessness. And it might be that you want to understand it more. And actually working in a voluntary capacity can provide you some insight into that. We don't have all the answers, of course, but it can help. So, I mean, volunteering can provide all sorts of benefits, both to the volunteer and to the organisation that you're volunteering in. With Resolve, we've got all manner of different types of things that people can do. We've got lots of jobs. We can always find a job. And also, like I say, it's about a meaningful experience for the volunteer as well.
Yeah, for sure. So if the students want to get involved, where can we find like information, or who should we email?
So in terms of contact, there's the website, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
So website is www.resolve-online.org. You can find volunteering on the website. That will obviously give you contact details as well. Now, we've got a number of sites, of course. So for students in the Hatfield and Hertfordshire University, they're most likely, I suspect, going to want to volunteer somewhere local to where they are. It makes lots of sense. That means that Hatfield and Welwyn Garden City, we have two sites. We have the Restart programme, and we have the Welwyn Garden City Drug and Alcohol Day Service.
Right.
Volunteering doesn't mean I have to do one thing. So volunteering can mean I have time and I can give it to you, a set amount of time every week, or a varying amount of time depending on what the role is. The Restart project runs 7 days a week, 365 a year, between the hours of 8 in the morning and 10 at night. The core staff deliver services in that period, but we used to have people that used to volunteer for a couple of hours in the morning or a couple of hours in the evening. During the day, there's any number of possible things that can be done. And then there's the CAF as well. I mean, if you've got any catering students, any aspiring budding chefs who want to get time in the kitchen, anybody wanting to work in hospitality, let's be fair, hospitality is a struggling industry at the minute.
Yeah.
We've got the cafe there as well. There's a whole host of things around hospitality. Obviously, we're primarily a charity, not a hospitality provider, but the cafe is hospitality.
Yeah.
And so there's administration, there's menu setting, there's cooking, baking, we have cake, amongst other things, supporting the community. Part of the role of the cafe when it gets to opening fully again will be having community groups,
right,
vulnerable people with learning difficulties who are supervised but will come in and use the cafe. And being able to interact with people is also a skill, and it's quite often a learned skill. Not everybody has my lovely ability to chat to strangers.
Yeah.
And I've had a few years practicing. So I think, in terms of how people can get in touch, they can check the website, you can phone the service that's nearest you, you can email. There are various email addresses, all ending in @resolve-online.org, and just talk to whoever picks the phone up.
Okay.
Just say, I'm interested, I have this much time, this is what I'd like to do, or this is my background.
Yeah.
And that, and like you say, it can be anything. We've got people who offer, well, actually, I've got somebody I can think of who gives us 1.5 hours a week, every week, and delivers a session as a volunteer group facilitator.
Right.
whereas we've got somebody else who works 4 days a week as a volunteer inside the school hours, because she's got young children. So she takes the kids to school, volunteers for 5 hours, and leaves in time to go and pick the kids up.
Wow.
All sorts of possibilities. And as I say, that's how I started. I was a volunteer.
Yeah.
And now I'm CEO.
Yeah, that is amazing. I will get in touch with people in psychology, like who do psychology undergraduate and professors, and see if there's some volunteers who would like to get involved. And actually, I really love cooking food. And as a Korean, I would love to introduce Korean food to many people. So yeah. And there's also another Indian friend I have who also loves cooking. So we'll try to arrange something between us, and maybe if next year COVID ends, we'll be able to introduce our food to you guys.
I used to live in Stevenage, and there was a Korean restaurant in Stevenage Town Centre.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they were only there for a few years, not for very long, and it was amazing. It was a bubble tea. Who knew that was a thing? It was great, and what was great for me as well is it had no license, so it was an alcohol-free eating place. Just to show you can go and enjoy food. You don't have to get drunk for it. You know?
Yeah.
So a Korean food, amazing, lovely.
Yeah, hopefully you guys will like it.
Yeah.
I think we talked about everything I wanted to have in the meeting. So if there's anything, is there anything else you want to talk about before we end the meeting? Or
no, I mean, just I say, firstly, I'd like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to promote the organisation. I'd love to see people from the university. We've regularly tried to have good contact with the university, and it is difficult. I understand that. This last year, I suspect, for students has been really, really difficult. You know, we've seen what we've seen on the news, but you're living it. So thank you for that. My hope is that more young people come and see what we do. You know, and I will say this: if you want to work in the charity sector, you have to really want to do it. You're not going to get rich.
Yeah.
It's not private practice.
Yeah.
But we do great work, and the greatest feeling in the world is seeing somebody who has come in from sleeping rough on the street, and we've got a number of people in the last year, even in COVID, who have gone on to live independently in their own accommodation, chemical free, healthy, happy, doing well. And you know, it's a great thing. So thank you. Let's hope to see some people.
Yes.
And get people to like our page. We've got Facebook, we've got Twitter. So Facebook and Twitter is both Resolve Charity. The Sparks Cafe is also on Facebook. There's a page of its own. Sparks Community Cafe and Hub. Not to be confused with Sparks the band, very different site altogether. And obviously, if we're promoting fundraising, when you click on the website, you will see we've got our local giving page. It's like Just Giving, but it's cheaper. And we have people who give us £5 a month as an annual a monthly donation. Or people can set up fundraising accounts. It's very simple. Every single penny, we're not for profit, so every single penny goes into service provision. Whatever we've got left from last year goes straight into this year. That's how it works. No one's making any money out of this.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Bless you. Thank you very much, and all the best.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.